Honestly, from as far as I can tell, it was a bright object in the sky. I noticed it about 11:30 last night. Really, I don't have any earthly idea what it could be. As far as I can tell, it was a bright light. I doubt that it was military. I do doubt that it was military. I think that it was an unidentified craft of some sort. I was startled and perplexed. That's why the first thing I did was run and grab a camera. The truth is out there, I guess.
The truth is out there, I guess. The truth is out there, I guess.
So I am a big diehard fan of UFOs, as Caleb can attest to.
That's like half our podcast. We're a comedy / UFO talk show.
Dude, this happened in Midway, Gulf Breeze, which is where I work at, and a guy probably a little bit younger than me. The headline is Florida Man Captures Video of UFO Sighting in Gulf Breeze. And I got the interview with him, and I showed a little bit of a clip of it before this discussion, but I didn't find the actual footage of the UFO. So it's not really a story, but I wanted to bring it up because I know that you love talking about UFOs.
There's always like some point in the conversation a UFO has to come up.
So yeah, it's he seemed pretty convinced that it was he had no earthly idea what it was. He implied heavily that he didn't think it was of this world. He saw a light that was like floating over the Gulf, and he said that it was close enough to us that it was illuminating the clouds around it, which means it was really fucking close as far as, it seems highly unlikely. I would have liked to see footage of it, but I've told you before that we are just sandwiched between huge Air Force and Navy bases. So chances are pretty good, as I always say, that it was government or military testing. How far ahead of our knowledge do you think government technology is?
Probably about 10 years.
You think so?
Yeah.
In the age of information, you think they're able to conceal it these days?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of tech. Well, I don't know. Maybe because let me clarify that. I think like Boston Dynamics is also about 10 years of where we're ahead of that, but we know about the technology.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So that's what I mean. They're definitely more advanced than what we have now. But I think we know about a lot of this stuff, and we can see it on the horizon, even if it isn't being talked about. Like,
well, that's the thing is it's like I always look at what the government is capable of in kind of an abstract, but tangibly, what could technology possibly be in 10 years that would be so exponentially further ahead than where we can predict it going now?
Yeah, like I don't think so. Even though technology is moving insanely quick, I think 10 years from now, I don't think we're going to look back at 10 years from now and be like, oh my God, it was completely different. I feel like it's going to be better, faster versions of what we have already. And a couple of new things, I think the big thing, and I don't think it'll be 10 years, is the integration of humanity and cybernetics together.
Sure. Yeah, and for me, like, I would imagine if there are these flying objects that are being spotted that are government technology, I would imagine they're unmanned, that they're probably more surveillance drones. Maybe they're testing some sort of weapon that has, there's jet propulsion, there's magnets, there's fuel, there's combustion. There's only so many ways that you can make something run. And it sounds like to explain away a lot of this stuff would take physics that don't really add up. So anyways, yeah, if I can find a clip of that video, I'll try to put it in there, but couldn't let a good UFO story this close to home go without being mentioned. Florida thief tries to open ATM with blowtorches and seals it instead. So this is Okaloosa County, and this is approximately 60 miles from my house, probably about as close as Mobile is. And there's footage of this guy. He walks up on the boardwalk, and they've got public ATMs out there where they're just outdoors in the open, and he goes to it with a welding torch or a blowtorch, and obviously molten metal at the seams just completely seals this bitch down.
That's so freaking funny. I mean, he might as well have just done it with like a soldering iron, you know?
Yeah.
So, is there video footage of it?
Oh yes, absolutely,
man.
absolutely.
Yeah,
At least he's got a mask on. But I don't know how ATMs work. If you wheel away an ATM, is it stuffed full of cash, or is there a safe on the ground beneath it, or what?
I think it's stuffed full of cash. I think there's cash inside the ATM.
Damn.
So you just need to steal the whole thing,
Take it
and
somewhere.
then work on it. Which I'm assuming too, like it's an ATM has to be heavy as hell because I'm sure it's made out of metal to resist stuff like this.
You think dolly heavy?
Oh yeah.
Like you could throw it on a dolly and wheel it out of a place?
No, I thought no. Yeah, maybe you could do it with dolly, but a couple of people. You
What
know,
are you doing this
I don't-
weekend?
Huh?
Huh? I said, what are you doing this weekend?
I know. I want to see someone like try to carry it, just like team lift it.
Yeah,
You know?
man. So, idiot, dummy, don't use a fucking blowtorch when you're trying to break into an ATM. Just learn from your mistakes. I mean, what do you got to get like a special kind of saw? Like, there's got to be like a diamond tip drill bit or some shit that you could penetrate it with.
There has to be a way to get into it, to break into it. There just has to be, because there's obviously tools. I'm sure if you get locked out of one, to take it out of it and stuff like that. There has to be a way to get in there, but I'm assuming it's a very long process. I don't think it's something you can do in 20-30 minutes.
Guys, let us know down in the comments section. How do you steal an ATM? Just kidding. We don't want to know. But if you know, but I don't want to know. But my email address is... No, I'm just kidding. I promise this clickbait delivers. This is my favorite story of the past while. This horrifying Florida man story involves boats, guns, cocaine, and hostages.
Wendy, I tell you, out here in downtown Sarasota tonight, certainly a bizarre day out on the boat for so many passengers. Now we have a boat captain accused of drinking, doing drugs. Get this, even firing several gunshots out on the water.
There was a charter boat captain who had rented out his services to drive people out into the Gulf to do deep sea fishing. And it was like 5 men. And when they get out there, they said the dude was acting erratic and belligerent. He was taking shots of Captain Morgan's. He was snorting cocaine. And initially they're just like, oh, dude, this guy's crazy. But he started saying shit like, I could just shoot you in the head and drop you off in the middle of the water. And they started getting all freaked out. He drives them around in circles for like fucking 12 hours, 6 hours, some insanely long amount of time. And they're just all like doing interviews with the news like, I didn't think we were going to make it back. And dude fucking starts firing off rounds into the sky. And they're just like, we're going to fucking die out here. That's pretty terrifying.
It sounds like that it would be a clip in a movie where like James Franco would play this guy.
Yeah, or Matthew McConaughey. That's what I was thinking. The new Harmony Korine movie.
Yeah, like it sounds like something like that where like he would have a cameo and this is some big actor and this would be a scene in a movie, a comedy movie where it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
He's very burly looking, but you could get Matthew McConaughey to play him. Like he looks a lot thicker than Matthew McConaughey. But let's see. A charter boat captain in Sarasota, Florida was arrested Sunday for boating under the influence. Oh, that's what they got him for. Yes, he was out at sea and held them captive for 12 hours as he drank copious amounts of beer and Captain Morgan rum, got high and fired off rounds of shots from a gun.
He didn't get any like hostage taking or anything like that?
I guess not, which is interesting.
That seems insane to me.
The thing is, it was his boat. They rented a Well,
True.
Yeah, but I think it couldn't have been a 12-hour charter trip. That's too fucking long. But they said the chaos began when the group of men hired 36-year-old Captain Mark Bailey. Damn, 36 hard years. To drive them 60 miles into the Gulf of Mexico for a fishing trip. Things quickly took a scary turn. One passenger, Carlo, told police that after he observed Bailey snort and get high off cocaine, the captain became angry with the 15-year-old nephew and proceeded to rip his chain off his neck and threatened to shoot everyone in the head. Jesus fucking Christ. That'd be terrifying, right?
Oh, hell yeah, that would be. Especially, you're out there in the middle of nowhere. Like if you're one of these people who doesn't know how to operate a boat, I'm sure I could figure it out, but I don't know how to drive a boat. It's not even like you can be like, well, if we have to throw them overboard, we'll figure it out, Like,
That's what I was gonna say. At that point, do you go action hero mode and try to overtake the guy, or do you just like hope for the best?
At that point, it depends on like, is gun in someone's face or is it in his belt? Because if it's in his belt, you try to wrestle it away, but then that can escalate so quickly. Like it's a hard situation to say what you would do, because if it were me one-on-one, it probably would get a physical altercation. But like me, my wife, and it sounds like their nephew or the kid, you view it differently, because when it's just a one-on-one, you're like, okay, there's two ways this goes. But then there's like, now it's like, well, you're involving other people that you care about. It's a hard decision to make.
Yeah. I think that unless you had a clear chance at getting that gun away from him, throwing him in the water isn't going to do anything except get him to fire off the gun. I don't think that your gun's going to like jam immediately from getting a little salt water on it. So I think I would probably just try to appease him psychologically and like try to talk him down, as opposed to potentially escalating the situation. But then with so many people on board, I don't know, man. It says the hellish ride lasted 17 hours after they boarded, so they must have had X amount of time. Yeah, dude, that's a day long of just dealing with a fucking crazy person.
He should have got a kidnapping charge or something, not just driving. I mean, there's so much more than just like operating a vehicle while high. That's the worst, the least worst thing he did on that. That's like the most tame thing he did.
No shit, man. What a crazy dude. All right, so I think that's gonna take us out of the Florida. Except for yours.
I have to cover this. This was brought to me actually by my wife's attention. She's like, did you hear about this lady? Florida woman stabbed herself and then called the police because she was tired of living in Trump's country. So
wow.
This comes, it's all over, but this is particularly from the Washington Examiner. A Florida woman stabbed herself 3 times with a kitchen knife and told responding officers that President Trump was to blame. Officers found the unidentified woman standing outside of her home in Palmetto, Florida, bleeding from her hands, legs, and face, according to a partially redacted report. After being asked what's wrong, she said, quote, "I'm tired of living in Trump's country. I'm tired of Trump being president." Police found large amounts of blood on the floor in the woman's home, including kitchen, living room, bathroom. Emergency services transferred her to Blake Medical Center. She told police that she had been Baker Act before. Florida's Baker Act allows mental illness to be involuntary. Okay, so this lady, this crazy woman, probably sit around watching too much news and decided to just stab herself because that was better than living in Trump's America, apparently.
Playing around on Twitter too much. No,
Yeah,
I mean,
dude,
that's fucking terrible, because obviously Trump is, in her mind, obviously Trump is to blame. Obviously, though, her mind isn't the most reliable narrator.
Well, and there's so much hysteria around this president and just in general. I know people with, the term Trump derangement syndrome. I've met people where they're so worried about this president that they're so like many steps from reality from where we actually are. And this is, if you already have someone with already mental illness and they sit around on Twitter and on CNN all day, or on the reverse, if they sit around watching, Fox News all day when Obama was president or whatever, or even now that Antifa's going to kill them every second and then Muslims are out to get them, you take someone with a mental illness like that, and luckily she only hurt herself, because this could have been much worse.
She stabbed herself in the gut 3 times. I wonder how deep the wounds were. Obviously that's the kind of shit my mind's going to. Like, was this a cry for help? Was she doing it for attention, or was she really trying to kill herself? Because there's got to be more efficient ways than stabbing yourself in the belly.